Hey everyone, welcome back. If you weren't with us for the last video, what we have going on is we have a ProDrive motor, 730cc Kohler engine, just like this one, which runs great on a surface drive mud motor boat. But this engine here has thrown a connecting rod. Cylinder number 1, the piston is not moving up and down. So the motor's junk. It cracked the case. What we're going to do is we're going to take it apart, and because cylinder number 2 still makes good compression, we're going to see if we can make it run, but with less parts. So here's a quick look at the case. You can see when the connecting rod came off, or whatever happened, it impacted the case right here, so it's got a nice split and a crack all the way down the side. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the bottom off here. Take this bottom plate off so we can get access to the carnage that's gone on inside, and we'll likely just clear whatever broken connecting rod pieces are there out so the motor can spin freely, and then we'll pull we'll disable the broken cylinders, valves. Okay, so here's the carnage report. There's just a little bit of bluing right there on the end of the crank throw, really minimal. But what happened was the piston definitely failed at the wrist pin. It wasn't an oil issue. You can see all the bearing surfaces are just about perfect. The engine had oil in it. They also have low oil shutdowns, so that wasn't it. Chunks of the piston, and then down here in the bottom case there's chunks everywhere. The oil pump looks good. That was still working. The unit still had oil pressure. The crank looks fine. The journal looks okay. Even the cylinder bore of the bad piston, you can still see there's tons of cross hatching on it. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's the wrist pin. It looks okay. Just the piston around it is shattered. So I'm debating on what to do. Right now the engine's free, but without the other rod there, this one can move around. And obviously the engine's not going to oil correctly because it's just going to come out of that hole. It won't develop pressure. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is take this back to the shop and cut this rod off about right there enough where it's not going to get, it's not going to come in contact with anything on the engine, and hopefully that'll give us enough to run for just a little bit. So, all right, stay tuned. So before we go ahead and put the weight reduction connecting rod back in, I want to show you a little bit more of the carnage inside the engine. So, of course, you have the little bits in the lower case. The governor drive gear here is smashed and broken. It's cracked. Oil pump looks good. It definitely took a hit right here, but it's alright. You can kind of see inside. I don't know if you guys can see, but the wrist pin of the piston is still there, but the piston skirt is shattered and missing. The cylinder looks really good. You can see where the piece of the rod hit there, and then right here is where it broke the case. It flapped around and smacked the case right here and broke the case all the way down the back in this corner. So I'm just starting to put the clutch back on now, and I wanted to show it to you guys. It's not something I've really ever seen before. It's a lot like the air conditioning compressor clutch in your car, and here's what it is. So you have your 12-volt wires coming in here, and then the two clutch plates, here they are, get sucked together, and that engages the engine side of the clutch to the drive side of the clutch right here. So as much as it pains me to do this, I'm going to add a little bit of new oil. I already pre-lubed the engine with whatever oil was in there, and it is making oil pressure, but I'm just going to put a little bit more in. Yeah, Mobile One, not a sponsor, unfortunately. Mosquitoes are terrible. Okay, so I don't know if you guys could tell from the other videos, but the engine was like trying to fire the one good cylinder too early, so figured out the timing was probably off, and I got the flywheel off after a lot of beating, no puller, and you can see the key on the flywheel is broken. So when the engine initially locked up, it sheared that key off and the flywheel turned, so the timing is off. So I'm going to pull the coils off, get the flywheel off, and see what we can do, if we can just reset it the best we can and then tighten it down again. Okay, so just as expected, there's half the key right there still in the crank. Come over here to the flywheel, there's the other half of the key right there. So I'm not convinced that just tightening the flywheel down where it should be is going to be good enough. I think maybe just the starter spinning would torque it loose. So I'm going to try and come up with something for a key and bring you guys back. Okay, so we have the two pieces of the broken key right here, and in the spirit of not spending any money and using what we have, I just picked out a couple pieces of aluminum carnage from inside the engine. And I think this piece right here is going to work. So what I'll do is I'll just cut it and file it down to match closely this key. And even though it's not steel, I think it'll work. Just give us a few minutes of runtime. So I'll get on that and bring you back when I'm done.